Episode 1. Introduction. I woke up from the cold. The room was dark, with only the faint light of a street lamp filtering through the blinds. I reached for my wife, but I only found an empty space. The sheets were cold. "Julia?" I mumbled, still not fully awake. No answer. Silence. I sat up on the bed, ran my hand over my face, trying to gather my thoughts. Maybe she went to the bathroom or to the kitchen to get some water. But something felt wrong. It was in the air. The house was too quiet. I got up, threw a t-shirt on my shoulders, and slowly stepped into the hallway. The bathroom, empty. I peeked into the living room. Nothing. Only the faint flicker of the clock on the microwave showing that it was 3:43 in the morning. And then I saw it. A small piece of paper on the kitchen table. I stepped closer, took it with trembling fingers, and held it up to the light. There were just a few words on the paper. "You know what to do." I read the note again, then again, but it didn't make more sense. What did this mean? Was it some sort of joke? A message for someone else? Or was it really addressed to me? I sat down on a chair, feeling something heavy settling in my chest. Julia was gone. No phone, no keys. But she couldn't have just left in the middle of the night, could she? I glanced at the note again. "You know what to do." No, damn it. I didn't know. I tried to remember the night before. We had dinner together, watched some old movie. She seemed normal. No arguments, no strange hints. I climbed upstairs, went into her wardrobe. I opened the closet. All of her things were in place. Jackets, dresses, those favorite sneakers she always took when she went outside. So she didn't just leave the house. She went. I started shaking. I pulled out my phone and dialed her number. "The number you have dialed is currently unavailable." I gripped the phone in my hand. This couldn't be true. I rushed to the front door. It was locked from the inside. So she didn't just run outside in a panic. She left willingly. But why? My heart pounded in my chest as I read those words again. "You know what to do." What if she was in danger? What if I missed something? What if I really did know what to do? I just couldn't remember it yet. I grabbed my jacket, slipped on my sneakers, and ran outside. The night was deserted. The wind swirled fallen leaves, and the streetlight's glow looked dim and cold. I took a deep breath, trying not to panic. But one thing was clear. All that was left after her was a note, and I was ready to tear the world apart to understand what it meant. Episode 2. A past he doesn't remember. I stood in the middle of the street, staring into the darkness. The city slept, with only the wind pushing dry leaves across the asphalt, and somewhere in the distance a car passed by. It was cold, but I didn't feel it. Where was she? The question hammered in my temples, rising with every beat of my heart. I clenched the note in my hand. "You know what to do." If this had any meaning, it was hidden in my mind, but the memories slipped away like water through my fingers. I turned back toward the house. I closed the door behind me and leaned against it. I needed to calm down. Think rationally. She was gone. Her phone was off. She left a note. God damn it. Couldn't we just be a normal couple? I sat on the couch, elbows on my knees, trying to recall any detail that could explain what was happening. Were there any clues? The last few days, she'd acted as usual? No. Thinking back, a week ago, I caught her on the kitchen counter, hastily closing something on her laptop. I joked at the time. What? Starting an online romance? She laughed, but nervously. Idiot, she said, quickly changing the subject. I hadn't thought much of it then, but now, that moment felt odd. And last night, shit, she looked at me differently, like she was saying goodbye. She came up behind me while I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom. She hugged me from behind, resting her chin on my shoulder. I love you, she whispered. I laughed. I love you too. No, she tightened her grip around me. I really love you. I didn't ask what that meant. Didn't think much of it. And now she was gone. I got up and walked toward her closet. I opened the door. My fingers ran over the hangers. Everything was in place, except for one detail. Her black jacket was missing. The one she always wore when she was planning to go somewhere for a while. So, she planned to leave. This wasn't an impulsive decision. It wasn't a panicked escape in the middle of the night. She had thought it through. But why? I pulled the drawer from her nightstand, emptied it onto the bed. Cosmetics, a bracelet, a few old receipts, and there a key. A small silver key with no markings. I had never seen it before. What did it unlock? I held it in my hands as though it could give me answers. Then another detail hit me. We never kept secrets from each other. Or, at least, I thought we didn't. I glanced at my phone. I was going to call her friend Lori. She might know something. But then I stopped. If Julia didn't want to explain anything to me, could she have trusted Lori? I had to figure this out myself. I looked at the note again. You know what to do. My heart pounded in my chest. Maybe I did know. I just hadn't admitted it to myself yet. Episode 3. Something was left between the lines. I sat on the edge of the bed, turning the same silver key in my hands. It was small, light, but felt as heavy as lead. What did it unlock? Closets, doors, safes. But there was nothing in our house that I couldn't open without it. I glanced at the note again. You know what to do. Damn it, I didn't know. But the feeling that the answer was close kept gnawing at me. I stood up, shoved the key into my pocket, and started pacing around the room. My eyes swept over every detail, searching for any hint. My steps led me to her desk. Julia had always loved writing everything down in her journal. I knew there had to be one around here somewhere. I pulled open the top drawer. A pile of papers, notebooks, but nothing important. The next one was the same. But in the last one, a journal, black, with a leather cover, held together by a thin strap. I carefully took it off the shelf as if it were a bomb. I opened it to the last entries. He doesn't remember. But what if he remembers? My heart skipped a beat. Who is he? Me. I flipped a few pages back. I can't just tell him. It will destroy him. But he deserves to know. Just how? My fingers clenched the leather spine. What the hell was she hiding? I kept reading. The entries were short, fragmented, like she didn't want them to be found. If he remembers, everything will change. But if he doesn't, it doesn't matter. I tossed the journal aside and buried my face in my hands. What could I have forgotten? What's so important that she couldn't tell me? I looked at the note again. You know what to do. The key. The journal. Hints that I didn't remember something. And then it hit me. The garage. I dashed down the stairs, ran barefoot across the cold tile, and shoved open the door to the garage. There was her old trunk. It had been passed down to her from her father. Julia always said it was full of trinkets, but I never asked what exactly. I approached it, inserted the key into the lock, and turned it. With a dull click, it opened. I slowly lifted the lid, and my world shattered into pieces. Inside, there was a stack of old photos. I picked one up. It was me, with a woman I didn't know. She was smiling. I had my arm around her waist. We were standing on a beach. I flipped to the next one. We were hugging. Another. We were kissing. It was me. No doubt about it. But I didn't remember her. My hands trembled. I pulled out a letter that was underneath the photo. I began to read, and I realized that my whole life had been a lie. Episode 4. A Life I Don't Remember. I stood in the garage, holding the photographs and the letter in my hands. The world around me started to narrow, like I was being sucked into a narrow corridor of memories that I didn't have. Who is this woman? Why don't I remember her? I sat down on the cold concrete floor, feeling my heart pound in my chest. It felt like someone had punched me hard in the stomach. With trembling hands, I unfolded the letter. You don't remember me, but once you loved me. This is the truth I wanted to tell you, but I was scared. I was afraid it would break you, that it would break us. But now, I have no choice. I felt the blood pulse in my temples. This was her handwriting. Julia wrote this. Underscore. Your name is Alex, but that's not your only name. Once, you were someone else. Once, you lived a different life. And that life was taken from you. Stolen. Erased. Underscore. My fingers clenched the paper so tightly that it almost crumpled. What does she mean? I kept reading. I met you not for the first time when we met 3 years ago. We already knew each other before. We were together. We loved each other. But something happened. Something terrible. And you forgot everything. Lies. This is all lies. My memories. They were real. I knew who I was. I remembered my childhood, my youth, our first meeting at the cafe. She spilled coffee. I made a joke. She laughed. It was all real. Wasn't it? I looked at the photo again. Damn it. It was me. My eyes, my smile. My hand around the waist of this woman. But I didn't know her. And I didn't remember a single moment of that life. I flipped the photo over. On the back, it was written, Day we ran away, July 14th, 2017. I looked back at the letter. _____4. You don't remember that day, but you ran away. We ran away together from them. From those who wanted to erase you, take your memory, make you someone else. They did it, but not completely. I felt nauseous. I jumped to my feet, looking around in confusion. Who are they? What did they do to me? And most importantly, why did Julia know and never tell me? I wanted to tell you, but I was scared. You were happy, for the first time in a long time, and I couldn't make you live in fear again. But now, I have no choice. They're back. Underscore. I felt the ground slip from under my feet. They're back. This only meant one thing. Julia is in danger. I threw the photographs back into the trunk, grabbed the letter, and rushed out of the garage. I dialed her number. The phone was off. I dialed again. Nothing. My hands gripped the steering wheel of the car as I jumped into the seat. I have to find her. I have to remember. Because if I don't remember, I'll lose her forever. Episode 5. She disappeared, but left traces. The engine roared, and I pressed the gas, not even knowing where I was going. The adrenaline pushed me forward, and my thoughts hit my head like a raging storm. They're back. Who are they? What did they do to me? And most importantly, where is Julia now? I dialed her number again. The phone was off. Julia never turned off her phone. Not even when we had a fight. Not even when she wanted some alone time. Not even when she worked late. Something happened. I sharply turned onto our street, nearly skidding the car on the turn. I slammed on the brakes in front of the house, the tires screeching on the asphalt. Dark windows. No lights. I jumped out of the car and rushed to the door. I pulled out the keys, but I didn't need them. The door was slightly ajar. A chill ran through me. I entered, clutching the keys in my fist as if they were a weapon. Julia! Silence. The kitchen, empty. The living room, no one. I ran upstairs, shoving the doors open. The bedroom, the bathroom, her office, empty. She was gone. I leaned against the wall, trying to breathe more evenly. Julia didn't just leave. She vanished. I looked at the note I found this morning again. You know what to do. Damn it, I don't know. I turned back to her office. If there were any answers, they had to be here. I quickly started flipping through papers, opening drawers. Books, documents, bills, nothing important. And then I found her laptop. I opened it and saw the lock screen. Password. Damn it. I tried our anniversary. Not it. I tried her favorite word, nope. I was about to pound my fist into the keyboard when I saw a small sticky note attached to the side of the screen. July 14th, 2017. It was the same date from the photo. My hands shook as I typed in the numbers. The laptop unlocked. On the screen, one tab opened. An email. From. Address hidden. Subject. We found you. Date. Today, 5:42 a.m. She couldn't save you. Now we're taking her. But you still have a choice. If you want her back, come alone. You know where to find us. I read the email 3 times. A cold fear ran down my spine. They took her, and they were waiting for me. I sat in the dark room, holding my head in my hands. What should I do? If I go, I might not come back. If I don't go, Julia. I pictured her face, her smile. No choice. I have to find her, and find the answers. I stood up, closed the laptop, and left the house. This night was just beginning. Episode 6. The One Who Knows the Truth. I sat in the car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my fingers turned white. My mind was a whirlwind. Fear, anger, panic. If you want her back, come alone. They knew I would come. But where to? I read the letter again. No addresses, no details, just that damn sentence. You know where to find us. Damn it, I didn't know. I slammed my fist against the wheel, breathing heavily. And then a memory surfaced. 3 years ago. Alex, what would you do if we had to run away? Julia asked, lying on the bed, her dark hair spilling across the pillow. Run away? From what? Just imagine, if something happened and we had to hide, where would you look for me? I laughed back then. You know the answer. She smiled. Yes, I know. But tell me. I moved closer to her and whispered, the old workshop. Her face grew serious for a moment. You remember. That's good. Now, I sat up straight. The old workshop. A place I supposedly had never been. But the first thing that came to mind. Damn. I turned the car around and pressed the gas. The road stretched endlessly. The darkness outside seemed to suffocate, wrapping me in a heavy veil. I tried calling Julia again. The subscriber is out of reach. The oppressive silence. Over and over. I replayed the words from the letter in my head. She couldn't save you. Save me from what? I glanced at the photo from the garage again. Me and the woman I didn't remember. And then, a thought that chilled me to the bone. What if this isn't the first time I've forgotten my life? Understood. 20 minutes later, I was there. The old workshop was a run-down building on the outskirts of the city. Once a place for car repairs, now it stood overgrown with weeds, its windows shattered and walls charred. I turned off the engine and jumped out of the car. Silence. No sign of anyone being there. I took a step forward and heard a voice behind me. You came after all. I spun around. A man stood before me, tall, thin, in a dark jacket, and I knew him, but couldn't remember from where. Who are you? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He smiled. Funny you're asking it this way. You should have said, what's your name this time? A chill ran down my spine. Where is Julia? The man pressed his lips together. She did everything to keep you in your happy little life. But now it's too late. I took a step forward. Where is she? He wasn't scared. On the contrary, his smile widened. She's where she's always been. In a place you're not allowed. What are you talking about? The man sighed. Alex, you understand this isn't your real name? My heart skipped a beat. What? You've had many names, many lives. You've forgotten and started over each time. They did this over and over. And this time, it was supposed to be forever. I felt my head spinning. You're lying. No, I'm not. He nodded at the photo in my hand. You look at it, and you don't remember, right? I gripped the photo tightly. Who is she? Your first wife. Blood froze in my veins. No. Yes, Alex. He stepped closer. You're not just some random man with amnesia. You're an experiment. Her experiment. Her? Julia. I couldn't breathe. No, this is some mistake. She was part of this, Alex. She helped erase your past. She's your keeper. I shook my head. You're lying. The man pulled out a phone and tossed it at my feet. Look for yourself. I slowly picked it up and looked at the screen. There was a video. I pressed play, and in the next second, my world shattered into pieces. Episode 7. Everything I knew was a lie. I stood there, as if the earth had pinned me down, staring at the phone in my hands. The video started playing. The camera shook, as if it had been filmed secretly. In the dark room, two people sat at a table. One was me. The other was Julia. My stomach twisted into a tight knot. Shit, I swallowed the lump in my throat. This is some sort of edit. Watch, the man in front of me said. In the video, I looked different. Tired. My eyes sunken. Dark circles underneath. Julia sat across from me, holding my hand. Alec, are you sure? Her voice trembled. Yeah. I sighed heavily on screen. This is the only way. If we do this, you won't remember anything. That's the point. On the screen, I looked at her with tenderness. Julia, you know I can't keep living like this. I can't remember. It's killing me. Julia closed her eyes. I'm scared we won't meet again. We will meet again. I ran my fingers over her cheek. You'll find me. Like always. And what if I can't? I smiled. You will. You promised. She nodded, wiping away a tear. All right. I'll do it again. She pulled out a syringe. It felt like an electric shock hit me. I jerked away from the screen. What the hell is this? The man in front of me sighed. This is the truth, Alec. She's done this many times. I shook my head. This is fake. I would never. I couldn't speak. You always say the same thing when you find this video. What? You always find the truth, and always deny it. I wanted to scream. Why don't I remember anything? The man sat on the hood of my car, crossing his arms. Because she erased your memories. This is impossible. Face the truth. You were part of an experiment. She had to keep you under control. But every time, you started remembering. What the hell are you talking about? Consciousness programming. Complete memory wipe. You were one of the first test subjects. This is madness. He sighed and walked closer. Ever wondered why you don't have childhood memories? I opened my mouth and froze. You don't remember your childhood, do you? He tilted his head. Tell me something about yourself before you were 20. I opened my mouth to answer, but couldn't say a word. A cold shiver ran down my spine. This can't be. Oh, it's possible, Alec. He smirked. You were created. Liar! You were part of Project Phoenix. Their goal was to create people without a past. People who could be reprogrammed. Sent on new missions. Interfering with others' lives. No! I screamed, clutching my head. This is paranoia. I don't believe you. The man handed me a folder. Look for yourself. I opened it, holding my breath. Inside were documents. My profile. Date of birth missing. Place of birth classified. Real name missing. I flipped the page. A photograph. In a hospital gown. Connected to wires. My hand shook. No. Accept the truth, Alec. If this is true, I gasped. Who are you? The man smiled. Your friend. The one who went through this with you. I took a step back. If I was part of an experiment, why was I released? Because Julia made it happen. She erased your memories and gave you a new life. But why did she disappear then? Because they took her. I swallowed the lump in my throat. And where is she now? The man looked at me and said, where you're supposed to be. And then I understood. I had to go back to where I had escaped from.